Are you also still creating the invoices manually? Then this video is definitely for you. So hello all, welcome back to Pabbly Connect, and in this video we are going to understand how to create Zoho Book invoice on Wix Forms submission. So over here I'm running a Edutech company and we collect the details of our potential clients with the help of Wix Form, where they also show the interest in a particular course. Alright, so now what I want is that as soon as a new form submission is made in my Wix Form, and as soon as we receive the potential client details, automatically with the help of these same details, a new invoice should be created in my Zoho Books automatically without any manual efforts. So to do this, we are going to create a connection between Wix Forms and Zoho Books. To create this connection without knowing any programming or coding language, we are going to use Pabbly Connect. It is an amazing automation software. So do you also wish to learn this process step by step? Then let me take you to my computer screen. Welcome to my screen everyone. So in this video I'll show you how to create Zoho Book invoices automatically when a Wix Form submission is made. This integration is perfect for anyone looking to streamline their invoicing process. So by the end of this tutorial you will see how easy it is to connect Wix Forms with your Zoho Books and automatically generate details invoices for every form submission without manual work. So let's get started with a really simple example. So let's say that my name is dummy user. I'm going to submit a Wix form right over here. So you can see that this is the course enrollment form. Okay, I've selected the course I'm interested in, and over here you can see the amount of that course too. Alright, so I'm just going to enter all of my details and click on submit right over here. And yes, you can see thanks, we have received your submission. Alright, so I'm just going to open my Zoho Books, and now from the left side of the bar we have to go towards the sales and then invoices, and we're going to check for the new invoice created. Yes, you can see a new invoice has been created right over here for dummy user. So I'm just going to open this invoice, and yes, you can see all the details right over here. You can see Excel for business analytics, you can see quantity, the rate and the amount right over here. So yes, this is the automation we are going to create in today's video. And if you also want to create this automation for your business, then you have to watch this tutorial till the end. So to do this, I've simply opened the landing page of Pabbly by searching pabbly.com/connect in my browser. It is very easy, and as soon as we are going to open the landing page of Pabbly, we are going to get two options. One is sign in and the another one is sign up for free. So if you are a new user, you can click on this sign up for free and you are going to get 100 of stars free every month to explore the application. But over here I'm an existing user, so I'm just going to click on sign in, and as soon as we are going to click on sign in, it is opening all Pabbly apps. Over here you can see all the tools and applications offered by Pabbly. But in today's video, we are going to use Pabbly Connect because we are connecting different applications. So I'm just going to click on access now right over here to access my Pabbly Connect account. And as soon as we are going to click on access now, it is opening my dashboard. And to start with this automation, we are going to click on this button which says create workflow. And now it is asking me for the workflow name and the folder I want to save the workflow in. So here I want to save the workflow in this folder which is automations, and I want to name my workflow as how to create Zoho Book invoice on Wix Forms submission. Wix Forms to Zoho Book, and then we are going to click on create, and as soon as we are going to click on create, it is opening the most important window of our automation, which is our workflow window. So this is the most important window because we have trigger and action in this. So trigger and actions are the two main principles on which our workflow will run. Alright, so trigger means when this happens and action means do this. So by this you can understand that the trigger is the commander for the workflow and the actions are response towards the same commands given by our trigger. Alright, so today what I want is I want to create Zoho Book invoice on Wix Form submission, right? So Wix Forms would be our trigger, which is going to give the command on new form submission to start the workflow, and further Zoho Books is going to create the invoice with the same details received from Wix Forms. Alright, so we are just going to select that trigger application to start with our automation. So as I've already mentioned that for the trigger application, we have to select it as Wix Forms. Alright, so I'm just going to search for Wix Forms right over here. And as you can see the same, so we are going to select it. And now it is asking me for the trigger event. So basically, trigger event is the event on which the workflow will start. So here whatever it is that as soon as the new form submission is made, my workflow should be started or triggered. So I'm going to select the same as my trigger event. And as soon as we are going to select the trigger event, it is giving me a webhook URL. So we are going to use this same webhook URL in order to create a connection between our Wix Forms and our Pabbly Connect's workflow. Alright, so what we are going to do is first I'm just going to copy this webhook URL and then we are going to follow this help text, and it is saying log into your Wix account and go to automations in your site dashboard. Click on add new automation or select an existing automation to edit. Provide the name to your automation. Alright, we are going to follow the same. I'm just going to open my Wix Forms account right from here, and after coming on towards my Wix Form, we have to go towards the left side of the bar and then automations. And after coming on towards the automations, we have to go towards the new automation. All right, so first you can see all the automations I've created right over here. I'm going to create a new. For that, I'm just going to go towards the new automation, and now we have to go towards the left side of the bar towards start from scratch. And as soon as we are going to do so, once again it is asking me to select the trigger. So for the trigger, we have to select Wix Forms right over here. As you can see the same, so we are just going to select it, and now over here we have to select a trigger which is form submitted or choose any another form. So I'm just going to select it as form submitted, and now it is saying select which forms trigger this automation. So I'm just going to keep it as any right over here. If you want, you can definitely select specific forms too. I'm just going to keep it as any only. It is saying limit frequency too, so I'm just going to keep it as don't limit trigger every time. Alright, we're going to move it forward towards the action. So over here for the action, we are just going to select it as send via webhook, because I want to add the webhook URL right over here. Alright, and after doing this, it is saying request type would be post and payload type would be application/JSON. Since this is correct over here for the target URL, I'm just going to enter my webhook URL which we copied from our workflow. And then after doing all of this, we have to just click on this blue button which says activate. And as soon as we're going to do so, it is saying give it a clear name so that you can recognize it later. Okay, so I'm just going to keep it as Zoho Book right over here. So I'm just going to enter Zoho Book right over here and click on save. And as soon as we are going to click on save, yes, you can see your new automation is now active. You can see we have successfully created a new automation which is Zoho Books. That is, as soon as the new form submission is created by Wix Form, automatically the details should be sent to my webhook. Okay, and the webhook is right over here in my Pabbly Connect's account. Alright, so now it is asking me for the webhook response. So it is saying waiting for the webhook response, and in the notes it is saying do a test submission/record. So in order to capture this webhook response and test our connection, we have to do a test submission or record. Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to open my Wix Forms, and as you can see that this is the form which I connected right now with my workflow. Alright, so I'm just going to fill in the details right over here as test details and do the test submission. So let's say that for the first name, I'm going to keep it as demo, last name as user, email as demo user 5544@pabblytunes.com, and then for the phone number, I want the phone number to be this. Now it is saying please select the course you are interested in. So for that, I'm just going to select it as this, which is Foundations of Digital Marketing, 799 rupees. And then we are just going to click on submit. And as soon as we are going to click on submit, it is saying thank you, we have received your response. So now what has happened is that Wix Forms has sent the details of our test submission to our workflow. So I'm just going to open my workflow, and yes, you can see that Pabbly has captured the response for the same. Over here you can see the same course which we selected, right? You can see the phone number which we entered. Over here you can see the email which we entered, the last name and the first name. So yes, with this we have successfully completed our trigger step. And now what will happen is that as soon as the new form submission is made in my Wix Form, automatically Pabbly is going to trigger this workflow and capture the response for the same. Okay, so further what I want is, I want to create a Zoho book invoice on Wix Forms submission. So to create a Zoho book invoice, first we have to create a customer in Zoho book, alright. So for that, I'm just going to select my action application as Zoho Books only. And after selecting Zoho Books as my action application, we are going to move on towards the action event. And now for the action event, we are just going to select it as create contact, because what I want is, I want to create a invoice, right? And to create invoice, we must first have that contact in our Zoho Books. So first we are just going to create the contact, and then we are going to create the invoice. So I'm just going to click on connect right over here, and now it is asking me to add a new connection or select an existing connection. So if you have already connected your Zoho Books with your Pabbly Connect's workflow, you can click on select existing connection and then save. But if you have it, you have to follow me, click on add a new connection, and now we have to click on this blue button which says connect with Zoho Books. And as soon as we are going to do so, it is asking me for the domain name. So it is saying enter your Zoho Books account domain name over here. Domain name must be zoho.com, zoho.eu, zoho.in or zoho.com.au. Alright, so I'm just going to open my Zoho account right from here, and as you can see that this is the URL right over here in my Zoho account. So you can see that it is https://books.zoho.in/ and the another thing. Alright, so you can see that in the help text it is saying if this is your URL, then your domain would be zoho.com. So the domain is after books dot and before that slash after zoho.com. Alright, so you can see that right over here my domain would be after this books and dot, which is zoho.in, and before this slash. Alright, so which is zoho.in. So I'm just going to copy it right from here and paste it right over here. You have to get your domain name right from the site right over here. Alright, so now after entering this domain name, I'm just going to click on save, and now Pabbly is asking me for some permissions. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to click on accept right over here and give Pabbly all the permissions it is asking for, because my data is secure with Pabbly. You can also click on accept. Pabbly is safe, and as soon as we are going to click on accept, yes, you can see that we have successfully connected our Zoho Books account with our Pabbly Connect's workflow. And now it is asking me to select the organization. So here this is my organization, which is PabCon. So I'm just going to select the same, and now it is asking me for the contact type. So for that, I'm just going to select it as customer right over here, because first we have to create a customer in order to create an invoice. Alright, so after selecting this contact type as customer, we are going to move it forward. It is saying customer subtype. So for that, I'm just going to select it as individual only, and now it is asking me for the language code. Alright, so here I want the language to be English, right? So I'm just going to select the language code as English only. We are going to move it forward. It is saying is portal enabled, so yes, I'm just going to keep it as false. We are just going to move it forward. It is saying currency ID. So over here I'm in India, so I'm just going to select the Indian currency right over here, which is Indian rupee. Alright, we are going to move it forward. You can see that it is asking me for other details like payment terms and other details. So you can see all of these details are not the required details, so I'm just going to leave it as black and move on towards the required detail, which is contact name. Alright, so here what we have to do is, we have to enter the contact name which we have to create. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to enter the same name which I've received in the response of my Wix Forms. You can see the name which we have received, which is demo user. So I'm just going to enter this same name right over here in my Zoho Books. Alright, but we are not going to enter the name manually or by copy pasting it, but instead we are going to map it. So you must be wondering what is mapping, right? So mapping is a method by Pabbly which means inserting the data from the previous step. And as you know, our previous step was the trigger step, where we selected Wix Forms as our trigger application. So we are going to map the details from the response of our trigger application only. And as soon as we are going to map these details, automatically my details will turn dynamic and change with every new response received. So over here I'm going to give you an example. So it is asking me for the contact name, right? So let's say that I'm going to enter the contact name right over here manually by typing it like this. Then this will not change with every new response received, because this is static information and I have entered it manually. But let's say that we are going to map this from the previous response. So I'm just going to erase this contact name and map this contact name from the previous response. All right. So I'm just going to look for contact name in the previous response, and as you can see, the first name is demo. So we're going to map it. We're going to put a space and then map the last name. So I'm just going to look for last name, and as you can see that it is user. So we're going to map it. So yes, if you're going to map this contact name from the previous step, then this will definitely change because my previous response will also change, right? So that's why we do mapping right over here to run our workflow in real time. Alright, so now after mapping this contact name, we are going to move on forward and map the details which are required. Alright, so as you can see right over here, we have to map the first name of the contact once again. So I'm just going to enter the first name right over here, and as you can see the first name, so we're going to map it. We're going to move on forward. Once again, we are going to map the last name too right over here. You can see user, we are going to map it. We're going to map the email right over here. I'm just going to look for email in the previous response, and as you can see the same, so we're going to map it. And now we're going to map the phone number 2. So I'm just going to look for phone in the previous response, and as you can see the phone number, so we are going to map the same. Okay, we are going to move on forward. It is asking me for many other details. So once again, as I've mentioned, that we are only going to map the required details. So I'm just going to move on forward right over here, and as soon as we are going to move on forward right over here, you can see that it is asking me for these details too. So I'm just going to keep it as none only. All right, I'm just going to move on forward, and as you can see that now it is saying is taxable. So over here we have to keep it as none. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to switch on this mapping button and erase this right from here, and as soon as we're going to do so, we have successfully kept it as none. All right, we're going to move on forward right over here and click on this blue button which says save and send test request, and as soon as we are going to click on this save and send test request, yes, you can see that we have received a positive response that the contact has been added. So yes, with this we have successfully added the contact into our Zoho Books. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to open my Zoho Books and check for the contact added. All right, so I'm just going to open my Zoho Books, and yes, you can see that we have to go towards the left side of the bar and then towards the customer. So yes, you can see that we have successfully created a new customer. You can see the name which is demo user. You can see the email which we entered which is demo user 5544@pabblytudes.com, and also you can see the phone number which we entered. So yes, with this we have successfully created a contact, and now what I want is I want to create Zoho book invoice. All right, so for that I'm just going to add another action step right over here, and once again for the action application we are just going to select it as Zoho Books. So I'm just going to search for Zoho Books right over here, and as you can see the same, so we're going to select it. And now for the action event, this time we are going to select it as create sales invoice and click on connect, and as soon as we are going to click on connect, once again it is asking me to add a new connection or select an existing connection. So yes, you can see that we have recently connected our Zoho Books account, right? So I'm just going to click on select existing connection and then save, and as soon as we're going to do so, yes, you can see that we have successfully connected our Zoho Books account with our Pabbly Connect's workflow. And now once again it is asking me for the organization, so we're going to select the same organization only, which is PabCon. And now it is asking me for the customer, for which customer I want to create this invoice. So for that it is asking me to select a customer right from here, but we're not going to select the customer right from here, but instead we are going to map this customer. All right, so that this also change with every new response received. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to switch on this mapping button and erase this customer ID which is given right over here, and instead we are going to map the customer ID which we created right now. You can see that we are going to open the response of Zoho Books create contact, and you can see contact ID of the customer which we created right now. So we are going to map this right over here, and as soon as we are going to map this field is also going to turn dynamic and change with every new response received. All right, so now what will happen is that as soon as a new Wix form is submitted, automatically a customer would be created, and that customer ID would be added right over here in our sales invoice step. All right, so I'm just going to move on forward. It is saying contact person's ID, so we have to select nothing right over here, so we're just going to keep it as same. We are going to move on forward. It is saying ignore auto number generation, we are going to keep it as false. It is saying send, we are just going to keep it as false. You can see that now it is asking me for many other details once again. So all right, we are just going to fill in the details which are required right over here. So as you can see that it is asking me for the exchange rate, so I'm just going to enter the exchange rate as 1 right over here. We are going to move on forward. Right over here it is asking me for the line item name, so it is asking me for the item name name. And yes, we have received this in the response too. All right, so I'm just going to open my Wix Form response, and as you can see that this is the course which we have selected as demo user, which is Foundations of Digital Marketing, 799 rupees. So this is the item name. All right, so I'm just going to map it right over here. We are going to move on forward. It is asking me for the item description, so if you wish you can definitely add an item description right over here, but I don't wish to add so we're going to move on forward. It is asking me for the item rate, so you can notice that we have received this item rate in the item name only, which is 799 rupees. So what we're going to do is we are just going to extract this 799 rupees from this item name so that we can add the item rate right over here. All right, so to do so, what we're going to do is we are just going to add another action step between Zoho Books create contact and Zoho Books create sales invoice. All right, and now for the action application, we are just going to select it as text formatter by Pabbly. So it is a feature by Pabbly which helps you to format the text. All right, and now for the action event, we have to select it as text parser. So as you can see the same, so we are just going to select it and click on connect, and as soon as we are going to click on connect, it is asking me for the text right over here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to map the line item name which we have entered right over here, which is Foundations of Digital Marketing, 799 rupees. So what I want is I want to extract this 799 rupees right over here. All right, so it is saying text batch after, so this is 799 which is after that bracket opening. So I'm just going to select the same right over here, and out for the text batch before, I'm just going to select it as bracket closing, and after doing this, I'm just going to click on save and set as request. And as you can see that we have successfully extracted this 799 rupees right from here. Okay, so now we are going to map this 799 rupees, which is the response of our text formatter by Pabbly, right over here in our line item rate. All right, so where for the line item rate, I'm just going to open the response of text formatter by Pabbly, and as you can see the results, so we are going to map it. All right, we are going to move forward. It is asking me for the quantity. So here anyone can purchase only a single course, right? So for the quantity, I'm just going to keep it as 1, and this will remain static. We are going to move forward. You can see that it is asking me for many other details. So as I told you that we have to enter only the details which are required. All right, so I'm just going to move forward, ignoring all of these right over here and keeping it as same. I'm just going to move it forward right over here and click on this blue button which says save and set test request, and as soon as we are going to click on this save and set test request, yes, you can see the invoice has been created. So yes, with this we have successfully created an invoice and received a positive response. So now I'm just going to do is I'm just going to open my Zoho Books account and check for the new invoice created. So I'm just going to go towards the left side of the bar, and as you can see invoices, and yes, you can see a new invoice has been created which is demo user and the status is draft. All right, so I'm just going to open this invoice, and yes, you can see a new invoice created. You can see all the details. You can see the line item and description which is Foundations of Digital Marketing, 799 rupees. Over here you can see the quantity, the rate and the amount, right? So yes, with this we have successfully created this invoice, and after creating this invoice, with this we have successfully completed this workflow. And now what will happen is that as soon as a new Wix form submission is made, automatically invoice would be created in my Zoho Books without any manual efforts. This workflow is going to run in backend, and we don't have to come back in again to our workflow to click on save and send test request. As I showed you the real-time example, this workflow is going to work the same. So yes, this was it for the video, and if you have any questions related to the video or the workflow, you can directly comment on this video. And for your reference, I'll just clone this workflow and share the workflow link in the description box so that you can access my workflow. I hope this video was helpful for you. Thank you for watching. So not only these applications, but with the help of Pabbly Connect, you can integrate many more applications. So if you have any doubts, you can reach us at support@pabbly.com. If you have any queries, you can reach us at forum.pabbly.com. And if you have any pricing related issues, you can follow this website. And if you find our videos helpful, do like and subscribe our channel. Thank you for watching.